All right. Well, with that, good evening. How's everyone doing? Can you guys all hear me? Trying to like assign my mic. Well, hello, I'm Dan Miller. I'm one of the post-secondary counselors in our College Career Center. I'll let my colleagues introduce themselves.
Hi, I'm Jamie Travis. I am the Career Resource Specialist. I also work in the College Career Center.
I'm Sarah Hanson, formerly Sarah English. So you might have met with me with some of your older children, and I'm the post-secondary counselor on the East Side.
So hopefully you're all here for our sophomore night program. So hopefully you're a parent or guardian of a sophomore, or you guys are sophomores. We have to say that because we're doing a junior night program next week, and in 3-ish weeks, we're doing a freshman night program. So you want to keep hearing us on different age groups, we'll be here a couple different times. But we're here to talk about planning your future for sophomore families. A couple housekeeping notes for the evening. We are also on Zoom, so hopefully the Zoom is open. That's how it looks like it is. I got to wave. So hello to everyone who's joining us virtually live. We appreciate you tuning in from wherever this finds you guys. We appreciate you guys coming in person. We like looking at people's faces. We didn't know how many people would show up in person, but we'd love to have a little bit of an audience. So thank you for being here. We will get many questions, especially on Zoom, of will this evening be recorded? It is. Will the slides be available? They will. We will share that information with our school's communications team tomorrow. We always say give us a week to just get it all published to our school's website. Usually it happens a little bit faster, but we will get that for you guys available on demand. So over spring break, I'm sure you're going to want to rewatch this presentation with some popcorn at home. Maybe not. But either way, it'll be available for you to watch probably for the next year or so. And we obviously are not able to respond to the Q&A that might be in the Zoom that might be happening. There might be some ability to answer some questions, but we'll try to get your guys' questions later after the program. I think those are the main housekeeping notes. Anything else from you guys? Okay, so here's our agenda. It's already on the screen. We're going to talk about some post-secondary pathways, what that kind of looks like in a couple minutes. We're going to walk you guys through Naviance, kind of what that was introduced to you guys, hopefully during your freshman year and in freshman advisory, and how you can kind of use it as a really helpful tool to explore college and career information. We're going to do a deeper dive into just general career exploration, kind of thinking about what that might look like for you guys as students or for parents, guardians, what it can look like for your students. And we're going to talk about kind of now that we're gearing towards kind of that midpoint of high school. We're halfway through this semester. We're almost halfway through high school. Believe it or not, that might be kind of a weird thought, but it is true. We're going to kind of start to think about some college exploration. So what does that process and timeline look like for you guys in the next couple of months into junior year, both first and second semester, and even things as benchmarks to think about in senior year, which I know is a couple years away, but we're going to give you kind of a general timeline and some resources for the next couple of years.
Okay, we want to just take a moment because if you did have older students with us, Dan and I are now operating a little differently than we have in the past 7, 8, 9 years that I've been here. We used to be located, our offices were located in the College Career Center. We still use that space, but we would see whoever came in front of us. In junior year, when you got to meet with one of us individually, you could pick who you would want. We started noticing with our seniors, they sometimes played mom and dad against each other. I would see students, Dan would see the same students. And so we kind of shifted our model, starting with last year's class. So now we are an extension of your students' SST team. So I work with all the students on the East Side whose counselors are on the East Side. My office is now located on the East Side, right next to Ms. Pupolo and close to Mr. Taddy. And so we work together as a team. So their counselors often pop into our offices, even as freshmen and sophomore, to ask us quick questions, and we collaborate now together. And then Dan's works with the students on the West Side and works with the counselors on the West Side. So there's a little bit of shift in our model than what we've been doing in the past. We still use the College Career Center for all of our group programming because we can't fit a whole bunch of students in our offices, but we are now in our respective offices for smaller meetings and kind of where we hang out, and in particular in the spring. Mm-hmm. This slide I created a few years ago, and some of this was out of my own experiences. I was the first in my family to go to college. My parents did not attend college anywhere, and neither did my older sibling. And I never understood all these terms that got thrown around really quickly when I was younger in high school. And for many of our students that are coming from other countries as well, our system is set up very differently. So green is the high school diploma. That's the goal there. In yellow is what's considered undergraduate. That could be community college, which could be certificates or associate's degrees. It also could be a bachelor's degree. And that's at a traditional four-year college or university. And we use college and university interchangeably here. I know in different countries, college can mean something different versus university. The community colleges and the four-year schools are meant to work directly as well. We have guaranteed pathways and transfer program options where you can start 2 years at a community college like CLC, College of Lake County, and after 2 years, transfer to a four-year school, take 2 years at the four-year school ideally, and finish up in 4 with the bachelor's degree. Everything in that darker gray is graduate level. So whether it's a master's degree or professional degree or a doctorate, and we know in other countries, you can start off at after high school right into medical program. That's incredibly rare here. That's not a pathway that's normal. So there is this process of going through undergraduate and then moving on to that upper level.
So we're going to talk a little bit more about how I help students with career exploration in a couple of slides. But before that, we are going to chat about now how students can get involved in the armed services and what these different pathways can look like. So the first is going to be direct enlistment, and this is when students can directly enlist and join a certain branch of the armed forces. The next is going to be ROTC programs, and these are opportunities for students to get to be full-time college students while still getting to be a part of an armed forces branch. There's usually around a 2-year period where students can see if they are interested in continuing with this, and also they have really wonderful scholarship opportunities. And if a student commits to doing the ROTC program, then they, after they graduate, they do have to commit to then joining the armed forces after. The next is going to be the Army Reserves, or just the reserves, and it is a part-time military force that trains monthly and supports active duty Army operations while still allowing the participants in it to have separate jobs or get to still go to school full-time outside of this. And the next one is going to be the academies. These are like West Point, the Air Force Academy, or the Naval Academy, and these offer students a chance to get a college degree while receiving a really wonderful education. They get leadership training, and they get to prepare for their career and serve in the military. Sometimes these programs can be a little bit more competitive. They have certain physical, academic, and nomination requirements, but they also do get their full tuition covered if they are able to do these. Both ROTC and the academies, once you graduate and complete these programs, you can enter the armed service as an officer. We also do offer the ASVAB at Stevenson, and this stands for the Armed Services Vocational Aptitude Battery, and this is a test that helps students figure out their strengths and also different careers they can go into if they want to join the armed forces or just for regular life. We offer this every year at Stevenson, typically around the spring semester. This year, we just hosted it on March 6th. So yeah, really great opportunity for sophomore through senior students to get to see some of their strengths and possibly connect with some different career interests. We also do host a military week every week. This was March 4th through 7th this year, and we bring in different representatives from all of the branches, and students are able to connect with them directly and get to learn a bit about each branch further and hear directly from them and ask them any questions. So those are kind of the different armed forces options for students. And we also host an event called the Career Ready Trades and Now Military Expo. We added the armed forces this year for the first time. This is an event for our students, families. We also do invite local Lake County schools and families to attend. It is for students, particularly upperclassmen, to get to connect with post-secondary opportunities that do not require a 4-year degree, that they can join directly after high school, that there's on-the-job training, and there's room for growth in these. There's also students opportunities to connect with 2-year programs, so like vet tech programs, also apprenticeships. So you're going to see the traditional trades there. 2-year degree programs are going to be represented. We have a lot of our CLC programs there. We have real estate, we have flight schools. So it's just a really wonderful opportunity if students are not interested in going to 4-year college. All students are welcome to go to this. Like I said, it is a bit more geared towards upperclassmen, but everyone's welcome to come stop by and check out the event. And if you, as I say, that QR code did have the list of participants from last year. So if you're curious, you can see who was just here.
So on our website, you're going to find a lot of information. And we're going to go in detail here for a moment to talk about Naviance, which freshmen maybe remember from their freshman year. As you move along in your journey at high school, Naviance becomes a really popular thing to get into and see all the tools that are on there. But we want to definitely make sure that you guys are aware of our website, where the recordings will be, the information's linked, our upcoming events are there. What we want to do is have a moment for our students and our families to kind of take a deeper dive into Naviance and the resources that it's there. If you happen to have your iPad, students, or you can log in from your phone, it is a great presentation to kind of play along with as you're going through this. But we want to take a few moments to walk you through some of the aspects in Naviance in particular. Access Naviance, families should go to the District D125 page and select Academics. From there, go to College and Career Center. As families scroll down, they'll see a link for Naviance, and right below here, there is also a Naviance walkthrough video if you wanted to watch this over again on your own time. So students can select the Naviance link, and the video will be here again, and they'll select Visit Naviance. When they're at this page, students should select the student icon. We do not have any parent or guardian login information. We encourage families to view this together. The parent or guardian is actually pretty limited in nature and not so helpful, so we just encourage all families to share the login with the student. The login will be similar to your network login, students, which is your Stevenson email and your network password. If you're unable to get in, please note the forgot your password link that is here. Once students log into Naviance, they will see a homepage like this. Homepage will look a little different depending on the grade level. Juniors and seniors will see rep visit information down here in the corner, as well as have access to that within the menu under colleges. First, we're going to start with the college information. So I'm going to select here and I'm going to go to College Home. Once here, we'll start by searching up a school. So I'm going to type in Indiana University. And we'll see there's actually a few different Indiana universities, but in particular, I'm going to take a look at the Indiana University in Bloomington. We'll select that college and the information will appear on the screen. Please note, if you heart the school, you will get an email notification when the rep schedules their rep visit at Stevenson. Often we will tell students, if you want to communicate directly with the rep, you can go into Naviance and you can select this communicate button, and you can get in touch with your college contact or send admission just to the general admissions office here. Within the overall college page for Indiana University and all other colleges, you will see videos and pictures, but in particular, we want you to see this yellow section. This section will be the comments that Mr. Miller, Ms. English type in from the college rep visit, or if they go to a visit on the campus, directly with all the information that they receive from that session. So if students do miss the college rep visit for any reason, we will update the notes within here as well. Another area that we want to highlight within here would be the admissions page. This is where you're going to see what we call those infamous scattergrams that we talk about, where you can see the historical Stevenson data from the past few years of seniors and if they've been admitted or denied or deferred at an institution. We do always tell families to toggle over to the SAT. That's going to have the more current data. If you want to use an ACT score, you can just use the corresponding score on the correspondence charts that are out there. Each of these points are students that have applied in the past few years and shows that they've been admitted, denied, or deferred to that particular institution. Also under this college tab, you will see that there is an advanced college search. So students can pick preferences they have. So if they're looking at a 4-year school in a larger city, let's say they're looking at admissions that is not super selective. Let's say they're taking a look at a particular major, they can pick the major within there and they can view the matches and then see more information at the schools that they have come back from that search. In addition, under this college menu will be enrichment programs. So any enrichment program that we receive from a college or an institution will be put in here with all the dates and links in there. So students can access all the data and the information from the enrichment programs that happen over the summer. Also under this college tab, we want to show the scholarship search information. And again, any scholarships that come across our desk, we do put them in this as well. So we do encourage students to check every couple of weeks or so to see if there's any new scholarships in there. Some students really want to see the scattergrams for University of Illinois, Urbana-Champaign, and because we have so many students that apply to University of Illinois, we actually handle that scattergram a little differently. Students would select the caret next to their initials and would select document resources. Once there, you'll see we have University of Illinois admissions by college. And so each one of these represents a different college and it has just 1 year's worth of data. So if you wanted to see what the College of Engineering scattergram looked like for the last year's class, we will pull that up and I'll put that in my window for you to see. And you would see that this information is in here for you to view and see by the 1 year. Next up, we want to highlight some of the career pieces that can be utilized in Naviance. We do have a self-discovery page where you will see there are a multitude of different career interest inventories that students can take. They vary in length and vary in their strengths. Some are off of students' preferences, off of students' values and work ethics, and off their interests. Students can take a variety of these to kind of see what careers might match up with them. In the career section, students will notice a couple of different pieces in here as well. Students can explore careers in here and they can select a career that they might be interested in or type one in. So let's just pick aerospace engineers for this moment. Within here, students can see the overview, the skills and experiences that comes along with this job, the wages, and you can actually click on the wages throughout the state, the various states, and it breaks it down by salary and hour. Also within here, students can favor the career as well. On the overview page, if we scroll down to the related major section and we select this link, it will then take us back to that advanced college search so students can look at colleges that have that particular major. And you can see how Naviance interacts with the different sides of it. So we do encourage our families to utilize Naviance and all the aspects of it and hope that you find this very helpful. Okay, let's see if I can get out of this without restarting the whole thing again. Nope, I'm not going to. Let's see. My apologies. Okay, so typically at this point, we would have you take a few minutes as a family. We know not everyone has their iPad tonight, but we really would encourage you, maybe in the next few days as a family, to sit down and explore Naviance together. I think right now we really encourage students to look at the career aspects of it, which Jamie's going to talk to even more of the things that we offer here, but also definitely taking a look at the college piece as you start to explore some options for yourself.
Okay, hi. To introduce myself again, my name is Jamie Travis, and I help students with career exploration here at Stevenson. First, to kind of touch on why we begin these conversations so early, or the point of my work with students. My goal when I work with students is to really just kind of get the conversation started about career exploration. They're by no means expected to know exactly what they want to do as a sophomore in high school, but more so to try and figure out their likes, their dislikes, and ways they can begin exploring those. Ultimately, my goal is for students to have as much information about different educational paths to careers, wages, and what the day-to-day of these careers look like, so then they can take that information and make informed decisions about their future. So that is my goal when I meet with students, and that is kind of why we begin these conversations a bit early. but we are going to do a bit of a live navigation. I don't want to be in front of the screen to the website. We're going to start by going to d125.org. Then we're going to go to Academics, College Career Center. Then we're going to scroll on down and click Career Exploration Program. Then this right here is how students make an appointment with me. We'll bring them to a Google form, and they also are always welcome to just send me an email. I have no problem with that as well. Either way, if you continue to scroll on down, you will see a tab called Career Resources. So I'm going to go through 2 different career resources that I think are really great that I use with students a lot when we meet in my office that you also may find helpful. We did just talk about Naviance, so I am going to skip over that one, and we're going to go to the Occupational Outlook Handbook to start. And I want to highlight a couple of features about this website. So this website is first just very user-friendly in general. I think it has a really nice layout and it's very easy to navigate. On the side here, you can see these occupation groups. And if you click, let's say, healthcare there, it'll bring you to a list of different healthcare occupations. I also like, scroll on up, sorry. Yes, go the other way. This is at the top.
To the top.
You're good, you're good. If you go to entry-level education and click the little arrows right there, there we go. It'll put it in order of how much schooling you need for each job. And if you click the one to the right of that, it will do the same for salaries. And then you can maybe let's click, we can just go with veterinary assistant and laboratory animal caretakers. So this is what the pages look like here when you're checking them out. You can see it has some general information on wage, education, things like that. And then all of those tabs continue to go more in detail about those varying topics. The tab I want to highlight, which is I think another really great feature of this website, is the Similar Occupations tab. This tab is great because it's gives you ideas. If you like this job, then consider looking at these professions next. So it also is really easy on this website. You can simply type in, there's like a general search bar at the top, type in any job, and it will come up with all of this information. So yeah, right there. So yeah, this website, and we'll look at another one now. We're going to look at Illinois Pathways. So this website's really great. It groups careers by career cluster. That's just another way of saying career group here. And this is called Illinois Pathways, so it has really specific data to Illinois. Let's, for the sake of keeping it the same, we can go to the health sciences career group right there in the middle. This website's really great because once you click on them, you can see it has a very, very long list of health care or health science related professions. So a lot of options to consider and things to look at. So let's maybe click on, we can go to maybe certified nursing assistant. Yeah, and that little bar graph next to it just means it's a high in demand career. That's all that means. So a couple things for this website. Once again, has the general wage information and things like that. This website has really specific Illinois wage data. So if you go under jobs, facts, and wages, that little arrow towards the top, and then click that, and then go to wages and trends, and then scroll on down, you can see wages grouped by Illinois county. So it gives you a little bit more of an idea for salaries. And well, this is always something I want students to kind of consider as well while trying to think about careers. If you go up and you go to skills and trainings and click on that one, and then the preparation, you can see then it talks a little bit more about education after high school, some on-the-job training to expect, and things like that. So those are the best features about this website, I believe. And yeah, so those are the 2 resources I use the most, and Naviance is always really wonderful as well. So next, we're going to go under the Career Pathways tab. Under here, we're going to be looking at something called the Career Pathway Booklet. So what this is, it is a resource that was created here for to help students kind of navigate the different classes and courses and clubs here. It groups all of the related, like I said, classes, courses, clubs, resources by career cluster. And everything's all hyperlinked as well. So this is, I believe, the agriculture page, if I'm not mistaken. Yes. So yeah, we can use this one as an example. You see here on this side, are related clubs and activities. We won't click on them, but if you were to, it would bring you to the website on Stevenson that has the club's information. I also did want to mention that this is not a substitute for the course book. This is more something to maybe use alongside, or if you're trying to just find all related clubs or classes and things like that. These are also just class considerations. So by no means am I saying that you have to take all these classes if you're interested in a particular field, but maybe just some things to think about. So you can see it's all grouped by grade, and then it has all of the related classes and then resources there as well. So really, really great tool. A lot of wonderful information in here as well. Okay, so next we are going to navigate back on up, and we're going to click Student Career Connection. Thank you. Okay, so this is the Student Career Connection site. This part of the website I manage with the help of our lovely communications team. And this has a lot of different information. We're going to go through all of the tabs here and kind of talk about what's under here and talk a little bit more about how I support students. So this first tab here is essentially a job board. It has different part-time job opportunities, and it gets updated as I receive jobs from local different companies and things like that. If you go under career events, I want to highlight, if you scroll on down, the CCC Presents Summer Job Fair 2025. And then if you scroll down, we can click through. We can click that, yeah. You can see here, we also host, besides the expo, we host something called the Summer Job Fair every year. It's typically like the second Friday usually in February. And this is an opportunity for students during the school day to get to connect with part-time or full-time summer job opportunities. So this is a list of all the participating organizations. QR codes get brought to the website, linking directly to the applications. You can see exact age requirements and exactly what you would do if you were to apply to those jobs. So this information is available on the website. If you weren't able to attend or you're still looking for a summer job, please feel free to check this out, and it lives under career events. So also under career events are just different career events generally, different drop-in days, different career presentations. I'm going to talk a little bit more about the career talks I hold in a little bit, but that is what under here. It's just different career-related events. So next, we're going to talk about shadowings. Shadowings are available through Stevenson. I am the person to see if students want to set these up. These are just one-time in-person career exploration opportunities. So these are what are available. Students get to go in person actually for a couple hours to a full school day to a half day and get to work alongside different professionals. I'm happy to talk to any students about setting these up and talk more about the logistics at a later date. Please feel free to email me and we can go over that a little bit more. There's also virtual meetings. Let's say some professions will not offer in-person shadowings, and then some professions, like let's say a marine biologist or something like that, simply don't really exist near us, or there's not really shadowing opportunities in those fields locally. So what we can do then is set up a virtual meeting, which these are just going to be Zoom meetings with professionals. A lot of my work is also connecting students with people, resources, and opportunities to assist them in exploring their career interests further. So there's a lot more professionals under this one, just simply because a lot more professionals offer a Zoom meeting versus an in-person experience. Okay, so the next is the internship and research tab, and we're going to go over this. I do want to say that the internship word is a really big one. A lot of students reach out regarding these, and while of course it's wonderful to look for opportunities and get involved, I think it's really more so important to just try and explore your interest in any way. If that's joining a sports team, joining one of our clubs, really just thinking about ways to get involved. For example, if you're interested in health sciences, you don't only need to pursue everything health sciences related. Still pursue things you like, still try and find that good balance and all of that as well. With that being said, the way that this is organized here, both of these tabs are going to have the current and the inactive free and local opportunities for students. So that is the way I organized it. Under current, you can see it's grouped by career cluster, and anything that says external just simply means that it is hosted by an organization outside of the building. So that just means Stevenson's not hosting the program. These are all right now open and available. The application date has not passed yet, so that is why they are under the current tab. Now, with the inactive tab, my goal here was to have students, let's say you're a sophomore student, you look under the current tab, you think there's nothing, I'm a little frustrated, or I don't know what to plan for. If you go under the inactive tab, you can see these are recurring opportunities. So these happen every school year. Let's click maybe the Penwazi one. Oh, the health sciences, right there. Yeah. So you can see here, it says posted on 8/2024. So then the idea is you can see the date it was posted, then you can set a reminder on your phone to try and apply for next year. So this is open for juniors and seniors. So around that time, it will be posted. So that is kind of the goal and the point of those two tabs in this part of the website generally. Under here are different volunteer opportunities. If you scroll through, you can see them. There are opportunities to connect with Northwestern, Advocate Condell, and Vista Health Systems. I only mention those specifically because I have a lot of students ask me about those specifically, but there's a lot of other really wonderful opportunities. We also have really great service clubs here at Stevenson as well. And then under here are different summer enrichment and pre-college programs. If you go the non-seniors applying to enrichment programs, a lot of these programs, or some of them I should say, will ask for letters of recommendation. This tab is simply just talking about how to ask your teacher for a letter of recommendation and kind of the protocol with that. So we can kind of skip through that. Yes, please allow at least 3 weeks. That is a note I have been told by teachers. If you ever need a letter of rec for anything, the more time, the better. They're very busy. They have a lot going on. So please just allow as much time as possible. Scrolling up a little bit. Oh. And then we're going to go under the 250 plus summer programs. So under here, we're going to, this link we're not going to click, but this has some programs, but we're going to go under the pre-college program. So these are pre-college programs. These are different than the internship and research tab because these are going to be an opportunity for students to get to do some different career exploration on the college campuses, but because of that, there are sometimes costs associated with these, and these are going to be all over the country. So these are not free and local. Some of them are, but most of these are kind of all over the country. There's a variety of them, and you can see the program name, the month it's in session, is it in person, online, or both, grade it's offered to, when the application deadline is, and then a link to learn more. You do not have to participate in these. You do not need to ever pay for a program. But if you're interested and you're wanting to know how to find them, here is some information on that. And these are all updated for the summer of 2025. So this is accurate information. Oh yes, also our wonderful summer career classes. We offer, I think that's still open. I think it's till like March 20 something for students to get to apply to these. We offer careers in healthcare. We offer careers in business, STEM, and law. These are 2-week career exploration courses, combination of speakers and field trips. So students get to hear from about 10 speakers and then go on related field trips in the field. So for example, for careers in law, they get to hear from a criminal defense attorney, a judge, and then get to go to like the Lake County Courthouse. So, and that's kind of the structure for all of them, but obviously it's all geared towards the profession group that it is. So those are really great classes. I think if you're a student and you're knowing you have an interest in a specific field, but you're kind of unsure of where to go with that, could be a really good opportunity for you to get to meet students who are also interested and then connect with professionals and learn from them as well. Okay, we can go on back to the website here. We're going to go back to the presentation.
We covered all of our websites.
Yes.
And then tell me what slide you want me to jump
Yeah.
to.
So more opportunities.
There we go.
Okay, wonderful. So make it bigger. This is, whoa, give it a minute to load.
Thinking about it.
Let's maybe, we're gonna try.
Oh, there we go.
There we go. That is my QR code. If any students want to make an appointment, just note that you do have to use your SHS email to make an appointment. So if you're using an outside email, it will not work. Once again, you can also just email me. But some other things I wanted to mention, always am willing to see students for individual appointments to discuss career exploration, anything like that. I also help students with resume creation, so any assistance with that, please let me know. I also host these programs called CCC Career Talks. It's essentially just group virtual meetings with a variety of professionals. All students will receive emails about this. They go out in the daily digest. So there should be essentially all be in your email. Just to let you know, on 321 to promo, there are going to be I think it's a criminal attorney, a judge, and then another law professional at the College Career Center during all the lunch periods. So feel free to stop by. And also on Tuesday, there is a business related one at 6 p.m. via Zoom. So any questions about those, please feel free to reach out. Students are welcome to attend as many or as little of those as possible, but they're just a great way to get to learn about careers. Summer job fair we touched on, and we already touched on the summer career classes. So yeah, thank you guys so much.
Okay, so as we start to talk about students progressing, as Dan had mentioned, I have a sophomore here too, so it is always shocking when I think about this. Our students are almost halfway through their high school career. It's crazy to think, but we really are encouraging us to kind of build a team as students are looking at their steps after high school, whatever that is, whether that's military, where that's directly going into the workforce, whether that's going to a community college or attending a four-year school. But it's really important that the student is the front of this team. As we start to move forward in our presentations, working with you, we will challenge you on some of your pronoun usage. We hear a lot of, we are taking the ACT this weekend. No, we aren't. Your student is, right? We are applying to colleges. We are working on the Common App. No, we really want the student. We want to put the student forefront because it won't be long and they'll be flying our nest doing these things on their own. But the parents and the guardians are all part of this team. Your friends are part of the team. Your teachers are part of your team. Your counselor is part of your team. The college admissions counselors are ones that you may not realize are part of your team, and they become an ever increasing presence. So starting next year, our juniors, your sophomores, starting in the fall as juniors, will be able to attend college rep visits. Dan and I love our profession. We work with the most amazing humans that are around. They're kind, they're caring, they want the best for kids. They're out there to talk about colleges and inform you all, but they're also out there to help your kids find the right place. So I can't tell you how many times we have been at college fairs or have a college rep come here and your student comes and talk with them. And the college rep will say, you know, I love my school, but I think you may want to consider looking at a couple other schools. Here's some names. We're all part of that team. So we'll get more into the college rep and what their role is as we move along our journey with you guys over the next couple of years, but they are part of the team as well. And then the College Career Center is part of the team as well. And we are formally part of the SSS team. As we talk about four-year college and university, we talk a lot about focusing on the fit, and we'll go in more detail this junior year. If we had a quarter for every time a family asked, is this a good school? We hear this a lot. Is this a good school? And we encourage you, especially next year, we'll talk more about this, to add your child's name into this. Is this a good school for Johnny, for Amy, for whatever your child's name is? And that really changes the focus of how you're starting to look at colleges. We talk about fit and we do not focus on rankings, and there's a lot of information that will go into why rankings aren't really solid in the United States. But the fit is really three ways. Academically, does the school have the major and the opportunities and the outcomes you're hoping for your student? We talk about it socially, emotionally, personally, which is a lot of times felt when students see the college campus. They get a chance to see the surrounding area of the school. They get a chance to see the school itself, and they also get to see the culture of the school. And we also talk about it financially as well. That is part of the equation too. College is very expensive, as some of you guys have probably started to peak at costs, and they look way different than they did 20, 30, 40 years ago. We can see a range from schools that are in the low $30,000 a year. And I can guarantee you next year, there will be a school that crosses the $100,000 a year line. We don't know if it's going to be Northwestern or Vanderbilt or Yale or NYU, but one of those four will probably, if not all of them, will be crossing $100,000 a year next year. So that's definitely a part of the process too. This is you. I can do it if you want me to. Oh no, this is still me.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, I'm just hogging the whole presentation tonight, Mr. Miller. Okay, some factors that will impact your choices we kind of talked about. The academic rigor of the school. You know, I have some students that really don't want to be in super competitive environments. They thrive more where it's more collaborative, or what that level, or they look at an honors college. The size of the school, this is the biggest misconception we see. I ask my juniors in my meetings every day, have you thought about how size might impact your experiences? And a lot of them will tell me, well, I go to a really big high school, so I'm sure I'll be fine at a big college. And then I kind of say, well, you know, a big school is like 7, 8, 9 times the size of Stevenson. Like, it's kind of crazy to conceptualize. And that's why we really encourage students and families to start to peek at schools, and you'll start to develop preferences as you see them. The location of the campus. Are you comfortable with schools in the city? Are you okay with walking a couple city blocks in the morning to go to class, or at night to go meet with a study group? Or are you okay with a college town like U of I, where it's in the middle of nowhere, as everyone tells you, surrounded by corn? The distance from home, there's a practicality part of that. And I often joke in my offices, my juniors and sophomores don't think about this. They're ready to go to California, Hawaii, Europe, wherever, they're all over. But when we start to talk about the practicality about how often do you want to come home during those years, and how do you get home? How far is an airport if you're going to be flying? Are there direct flights? And you're probably coming home 3 times in the most expensive times to fly. Some students, I have a good friend of mine, and she said her son is like clockwork. Every 6 weeks, he needs the ability to come home and take a break from the roommate, that he's not used to living with someone 24/7 in the same room. And that's a different piece too. So thinking a little more about that fit. Areas of study, personal factors, which could be anything from, how they handle if you have allergies, or if you have a 504 or an IEP, or if you are looking for a school with a strong Jewish population, right? All of these things are personal factors that kind of add into there, and then the cost as well.
Some of these factors might feel a little ambiguous, especially for you guys as sophomores thinking about things maybe you've never considered some of these pieces, or parents or guardians, maybe you've never had these conversations or thought about the various factors that could influence the research you're going to do. But we want this to be kind of a research process that's kind of starting around now, and particularly into junior year. One of the pieces that Ms. Hansen brought up is the size, which we feel like is a really important component that could really vary from student to student. We do see most students wanting and preferring, at least initially, larger schools. And one of the things I'll say in my offices is use a space like that we're in tonight. The Performing Arts Center holds well over 1,000 seats, as you guys can look around and see. This is kind of a typical introductory classroom at a lot of large public state schools. And sometimes a campus tour will take a group into a large lecture hall to say, hey, this is where you're going to have introduction to biology or business or economics. And sometimes that could be a little surprising to kind of walk into this classroom, because you guys as students are obviously, you've probably never had a learning environment like this on a regular basis. So it's kind of good to kind of do that research. And we're giving you here some different resources of ways to do your research. We try to be really thoughtful about publishing information to our College Career Center website that's helpful for you. Ms. Travis kind of walked you through the career portion of our website. We have built out a pretty extensive library of resources on our website and also on our YouTube page that we'll share with you in a few minutes, that gives you a lot of good information in depth about questions that people ask us, frequently asked questions, resources, links, a lot of documents with different resources. So I would definitely bookmark our website because we're regularly updating it pretty much every week. Naviance, we kind of gave you guys a little bit of a deep dive on kind of some of the college and career portions of it. There's other pieces of it that we didn't show in as great depth, but Naviance, I think, is kind of an underutilized resource that we really encourage you guys as students and families to kind of utilize. We know we had a question on Zoom tonight about how do parents get access to Naviance. So just to reiterate that, we really recommend that you guys use Naviance as a shared family account. There's no parent or guest there's no parent code. I know sometimes ask parents or guardians for that. So we encourage you guys as students to share those login credentials with your parents or guardians, and you guys kind of use it as a collective family and kind of can navigate that Naviance search together as you kind of have those conversations. We have a lot of programming, and we'll share with you kind of our timeline for junior and into even senior year. Ms. Hanson alluded to some of the programs with college rep visits over the next couple months that you're going to be invited to. So more on that soon. I really like encouraging families to utilize college websites because college websites, they own the content that they're publishing, right? We own our content that we're choosing to put out to you guys, to families, to hopefully that's helpful. Same thing with colleges. If they have a change in an admission policy, if they have a change to a program, the funding of the school, all that stuff is controlled just by that institution. So going directly to the college's website as opposed to avoiding a third-party site, we hear from families, unfortunately, too regularly sometimes that they're using these third-party sites like College Confidential or other, Reddit even, that this is where they source different information. That stuff can be interesting, but it's usually kind of speculation. The college website is really your kind of gold standard site and source of information for whatever it's related to the college. Collegeboard.org, that's the company that oversees the whole SAT program suite and AP program. So we're pretty familiar with them since we're obviously an AP school. They have a really good site that I think we might link later in the presentation called Big Future, which is kind of their Naviance version of like a college search site. So besides Naviance, our second sort of go-to site for doing kind of a broad search for colleges in general is called that Big Future site on College Board that's free. And then FinAid.org is a really good site to look up like kind of the cost of attendance sort of pieces and all those elements related to college enrollment. In terms of ways to do the research, we have alluded to, and I kind of mentioned, visiting campuses. So, having your boots on the ground, physically being on a campus is probably the single greatest way to really understand kind of what Ms. Hanson was talking about, like kind of that social emotional piece. Sometimes I'll say to students, juniors in my office when I meet with them, like that sometimes that gut feeling that students can get from being on a college campus could be really telling. I try not to apply pressure to students and say, like, tell me why you loved it or tell me why you hated it. Or maybe you're feeling neutral, but maybe sometimes your internal clock is just saying, it felt good. It felt like a place I was comfortable. I liked it. I felt comfortable. I liked the environment. I kind of engaged with the people. It just felt kind of overall very positive. Or you might have the opposite feeling as students, right? You might walk on that campus and something internally is saying to you, I got to get out of here. Like, I got to get some ice cream, get in the car. It's just not feeling right. That's okay too, right? Sometimes it's good to know when you guys visit schools and talk about it as a family and process those experiences because you're all going to have different vantage points, right? From parents, guardians, and students. What does your son or daughter say? What do you guys say? How can you kind of share information, talk, and ask more follow-up questions? There are a lot of information sessions that schools put out, both at school, as Ms. Hanson shared, we're going to have a couple hundred, probably 150 plus colleges visit Stevenson and the College Career Center in the fall. They also do virtual information sessions at open houses in the area. So they'll choose like a local hotel or a conference center, and they might have a couple schools meeting together in the fall for your junior year to kind of share information by schools that have some kind of common thread. The pandemic a couple of years ago brought up a lot of virtual information sessions those are still continuing to some extent. So you might see like Zooms and whatnot that are happening that are more convenient, but sometimes it's nice to be in person with those in-person information sessions to meet the admissions people. The college fairs are a great way to kind of walk around a bigger space and talk to college admissions staff members, kind of at tables. Usually they're in like a gymnasium or in a hotel or whatnot. We are invited to the local Barrington High School College Fair, which is happening in a couple weeks, April 7th. So if you want like kind of the exposure and the experience of what a college fair might kind of look and feel like, there's probably going to be 100 to 200 colleges that will be present there. both in-state and kind of throughout the country, maybe even some schools that are overseas that'll be present to kind of engage with. You can pick up their view books, pick up their business card, kind of ask some questions and learn about the schools. And I mentioned the rep visits as well, which will be starting. We typically start those around Labor Day. So we usually try to get into the school year, start to get comfortable with your new classes as a junior. And then we're going to offer them pretty much most periods, specifically the months of September and October. They kind of whittle down by early November, but those are kind of the primary months. In terms of co-curricular programs, this is an area that I know I'm having this conversation a lot with juniors right now for our post-secondary scope meetings, which we'll talk about in a minute. But a lot of juniors are asking me, like, what should I do to get more involved? Should I get more involved? What are colleges kind of looking for in terms of my co-curricular involvement? I think there's a lot of misconceptions out there about what it means to be involved, what it means to be a leader, the nature of involvement, and what colleges are really looking for. And the reality is that most colleges are looking for a couple areas of meaningful areas of commitment outside the actual school day. What does that mean for you guys as students? That could mean a club at school. We have like 140 co-curricular clubs that you can go to the student activities office, engage with their staff, kind of look at that card of, or the wall of cards you guys might know I'm talking about right off of the Wood Commons, and kind of see, what is the club all about? Who's the sponsor? Where do they meet? When do they meet? That kind of thing. And describe the club. That could mean as you guys get older and are eligible to have a job during the school year and the summer. It could mean being on a sports team here at school or in the community. It can mean doing something with your family. You could have a family responsibility. You could also have hobbies. All of those experiences are absolutely fair game, and colleges are really looking for literally a couple areas of commitment outside the school day. And I think the application process doesn't help out in this way, because there's a lot of areas that students can identify that they can be involved, but they're really just looking for a couple areas. It's more about the nature of the commitment and how you're growing from that experience, as opposed to a laundry list of activities that you're doing throughout high school. So that's really what colleges are ultimately looking for. And we encourage you guys to stay involved in things hopefully you enjoy and you're finding meaning and growth from. And if you're going to clubs and you're kind of saying to yourself, hey, this isn't really for me, I tried it out, it wasn't my thing, that's okay too. Colleges appreciate that self-reflection process that hopefully you're going through. And if you're choosing to kind of spend your time in other areas, that's perfectly fine.
Okay, we're going to take an abrupt right turn and move on to everybody's favorite hot topic, testing. So let's discuss kind of the rollout of testing and some of the changes that are happening. The sophomores are gearing up. I think maybe you guys received an email. I think I just got one myself about the PACT that's coming down the line in April for our sophomores. And then junior year, there's a little ebb and flow that's still happening, and we don't have everything concrete. Literally, we were getting information from SHS testing group last week as we were trying to finalize the slides. But we know for junior year in the fall, our juniors will now have the option, but will not be automatically signed up for the PSAT NMSQT. It's a mouthful to say. The NMSQT is the National Merit Scholarship Qualifying Test. And the only way to be recognized by this is to take this specific PSAT that is offered in the fall of your junior year. We will still be offering that in-house, but from my understanding with where it's currently sitting, we will not automatically enroll all juniors into that. There will be an opt-in process for that now, where before it was automatic because they were automatically taking the SAT and it helped them in that preparation. With that as well, it does not look like there is a practice ACT that will be given in the fall of junior year. ACT does not have one that's appropriately timed. They have one for ninth graders, they have one for sophomores, but they do not have one for the juniors. So there will not be, to our understanding is the current moment, a practice ACT for all of our juniors in the fall. Now, I will tell you that frequently, and I anticipate next year will be similar, we will have a Saturday practice ACT that usually lines up in early February that students can sign up for. It's free. It's through Revolution Prep, who we partner with some of the test prepping that we offer. That is space limited. There's not seats for everybody. I think there's something like 300 or 500 spots that are out there. So you can keep an eye out for that information. It usually comes out right after winter break of junior year. And then all students at Stevenson will be taking the digital ACT next spring in April, right around the same time they're doing this practice ACT as sophomores. That ACT counts for colleges. All colleges take these tests equally. There isn't a preference between the two of them at all. The ACT is unveiling a new ACT that really is affecting our sophomores more than anyone else. So if your students, if by some weird chance they've already taken an ACT or you have older children that have gone through this process, ACT has figured they need to make sure they're keeping their share of the market because SAT made some changes a few years ago. So now ACT is making changes in all the things that students are complaining about. They complain that the ACT is too long of a test. They're making it a shorter test. They don't like how fast-paced it is. They're making more time per question. The science section is becoming optional. We still recommend it at this moment if your student signs up to take it because we have not heard from colleges their decision on the science section becoming optional. The content of the science section is changing. So historically, there's been a lot of graphs and charts in the science section of the ACT. Starting with next year, they will move it to being more content-specific science information. The composite will now only be based on the English, the math, and the reading. And the other really tricky thing to try to explain to juniors, but sophomores, you're in a better position, is that these changes will be implemented depending on when you do the Saturday administration of the ACT. So starting this April on Saturdays, the new ACT will be unveiled. So in April and June and July, the test is offered. All of those that are digital will be the new version. Paper is still an option for the ACT, and from my understanding, will continue to be an option. The new version of the ACT doesn't start until September for the paper. So if your student is looking for the new version but wants paper, we would tell them to look in September. Our school day ACT this year, I probably shouldn't have put this in for sophomores because it's not as relevant to you, but if you have a junior, is the original, even though it's digital, and the writing and the science will be part of it. Next year, you guys will still have science and writing as part of it. The scope of WINT test. We added this slide in and we just want to give you a bigger picture. And part of the reason for me doing this is because we know that we can book up ahead of time for ACT and SAT spots. We are only as good as the proctors that we're able to sign up. So this is the testing schedule for next year for the SAT and for the ACT. In blue are the Saturdays that we are confirmed at this moment to host it. So doesn't mean that you can't take this November SAT if you wanted to. Other area high schools do offer it. We do tell you that the June and July sittings of SAT or ACT can be harder to find because schools are just not in session and we don't have as many people around to offer for proctoring. I really do encourage our sophomores to kind of wait until in the first semester before they really start into this testing phase. We see these test scores from sophomore year, from early on junior year, and they're just not as strong as they are if they waited a little bit. So we do recommend that they kind of wait a little bit before they start taking it. Our recommendation truly is, I think, the same that it's been since even before the pandemic, which is we'd like for you to take one of the exams 2 to 3 times. It's usually where you see the maximum benefit of this. And after that point, you're kind of just trading around scores. That second and third time, you feel more confident going into the test. You might have higher sub-scores that help you with super scoring, which means some schools take these sub-scores and push them together to give you a new total test. But we do get concerned when we see students taking this 5 or 6 or more times. And I see it in my office. I know you do too. Standardized testing is not meant to be a co-curricular activity. Is my favorite line that we heard from our Yale rep many years ago. I use it every year. It's not meant to be a co-curricular activity. This should not be in lieu of day-to-day academics. Your transcript is the most important part in the application process. I would hate, and I know Mr. Miller does too, to see students trade off day-to-day academics because they're trying to prep for a test. They much rather see really strong grades in the classes that you're in. That being said, taking it a couple times isn't a bad idea. We are in an ever-changing landscape of test optional. In fact, I don't know, 6 hours ago, about that. We just received an email from Ohio State sharing that they're now going back to requiring tests. So we know that this is still kind of ebbing and flowing as we're coming off the pandemic. And we'll go much more in depth junior year in our future presentations about how to decide to go test optional or not. But we wanted to make sure you were aware of the dates and the costs in that process.
Okay, so previewing next year a little bit more in greater detail, some kind of benchmarks, things to be thinking about. As junior year begins, as you guys hopefully begin engaging more with colleges through various formats, whether it's our college rep visits this fall, it's through some college fairs soon or throughout next year, or just engaging with us in general, we hope that you begin, don't finish, but begin the process of developing a working list of schools. That could be a very broad list. It's kind of helpful to start on a bigger, broader scale and kind of start to narrow down a little bit over time, kind of what's a good fit based on those preferences you're making in that research you're doing. So maybe that's going to look like over the course of the next 9-10 months, maybe a dozen to 20 schools that are, schools that you're considering, schools that you have some interest in. We have a lot of resources, as we've talked about. We encourage you to utilize those. They can be very helpful. We want you guys to be engaging in the fall as juniors with our college rep visits. I think juniors really value the opportunity to hear from the college admission reps. Some of our bigger schools will be in bigger spaces like this or in our West Auditorium, where we're going to have maybe 100 to 200 students literally in attendance. We have some rep visits where for some smaller medium-sized schools, we may have 5 to 10 students. We sit down on every one of those visits and take notes and put those notes and publish them into Naviance. So that's part of our job. We view that as both our professional development, but we're also helping to facilitate and be present to answer questions for you guys as students, and also to help kind of introduce the rep to Stevenson if they're unfamiliar with our school. We want to give you guys a save the date. We'll remind you of this, of course, in the fall, but on November 10th, we will be, I believe, in the West Auditorium, if memory serves me. So west side of the building. We'll be there doing what we're calling now our college night for junior families. So we're actually next week, as I alluded to in the very beginning of tonight, we're doing college night 2 next week for our juniors. So we used to do that in one presentation. Now we've broken up into 2 nights. It's a lot of information, so it's a little more digestible, hopefully. There will be national college fairs in Chicago and Milwaukee. Usually it's the first weekend in October. We'll share those dates with you guys in the fall, where kind of all day at like kind of a Navy Pier situation or in downtown Milwaukee, you can hear from literally hundreds of schools throughout the world. It's a great opportunity. And there'll be a local college fair, as there always is each fall at the College of Lake County Grays Lake campus. We want you, as Ms. Hanson just alluded to continue developing strong grade trends. We're kind of around the midpoint of this current semester. I'm sure you guys as students are hearing that from your teachers every day. So continuing to show growth in those standards and all the proficiencies of the things you're working on in class is important, and hopefully finishing that second semester of sophomore year strong is a really important marker as you kind of begin to look at your next year set of classes and again continue that next year. We want you to be working with your counselor. So, hopefully between advisory, maybe you've had a scope meeting or 2 with your counselor. We hope that you're continuing to build that relationship, asking questions. Your counselor is your best advocate during your 4 years at Stevenson. So continue to kind of hone in on that relationship and kind of get to know them, let them get to know you, and ask questions when things come up and seek out support because they're really your best resource. In terms of second semester, I know this is a little bit of a preview. We're talking like 2026. We want you to be thinking about course selection. That's when we're going to actually be doing course selection at the end of 2025 for 2026. So kind of thinking of a good senior year schedule that meets your interests, hopefully continues to challenge you academically. We want you to be thinking about that standardized testing we alluded to a few slides ago. So if you haven't taken an SAT or ACT yet, you'll take the ACT, as Ms. Hanson shared, April of your junior year, but you might register for an additional test or 2 with SAT or ACT. And then if you need to take English proficiency exams, if English is not your first language, you may want to consider, if it's required, taking the TOEFL, the IELTS, or the Duolingo. There are both some in-person and online opportunities to do English proficiency testing. We'll have other college fair opportunities next spring, and we'll share those with you guys next year as we learn of them. Again, we're going to have that college night for junior families. We've already scheduled it, March 19th of 2026. So that's a year away, but we will be, I think, again in the West Auditorium, but again, more info to come. In the fall, we will send you guys a letter We're likely going to mail home and email you guys a letter inviting each of your family to a post-secondary scope meeting with myself or Ms. Hanson. So again, if you're a West Side student, if your counselor's on the West Side, you'll get a letter from me inviting you to individual meeting, me, you guys as a student, and at least one parent. Of course, both parents or guardians are invited in my office, or if you're an East Side, I was gonna say East Coast, East Side student, you are invited to a post-secondary scope meeting with Ms. Hanson. Essentially, what is that? It's a 45-minute individual appointment where we'll have you guys fill out a worksheet, and we'll do a lot of research for you guys and looking at your transcript on college recommendations that are a good fit based on your interests. So more info to come, but those meetings take place late 2025 through actually next June. So it's like a 6-7 month process. And we hope as that process and those conversations take place, we're taking that initial list of maybe 10 to 20 schools and starting to think of that working list of 5 to 10 schools that you're also ultimately going to submit applications to in the fall of your senior year. Okay, some other save the dates. Again, this is probably more information than you need, but we're going to do a financial aid night, I believe in this room on September 25th. We're going to bring in a national expert on financial aid, Jerry Sabrinsky. He is in charge of the financial aid office at Lake Forest College. We brought him in for a long time. He is the best. You'll hear more from him in the late September. There is a Choices College Fair. So if you have an IEP or a 504 plan, this college fair is really geared for you to kind of hear from the staff of colleges who help with accommodations. Students that have had supports and accommodations through their IEP or 504. That's what that college fair is all about. It's on October 7th at Lake Forest High School. We do 4 first-generation programs throughout the year. We've been doing that for a couple of years. So if you're the first in your family to go to a U.S. college, we do a series of evenings dedicated towards first-gen families. And we've kind of built up that programming over the last 5 or 6 years. So more on that. We'll do 2 in the fall and 2 in the spring. I mentioned the college nights in the last 2 slides and the post-secondary scope meetings. Miss Travis shared about the summer job fair and our career ready trades expo that will be next year in February and March, and then those career exploration summer classes that she talked about as well. And we have social media. Up until a couple of years ago, the only people who followed us on our Facebook account were our own parents. And then we found that some of our Stevenson parents actually were interested in what we had to put on social media too. So we have a Facebook page, we have an Instagram account that we try to post to as much as we can. We do the best we can. We also have a YouTube page, which has probably about a dozen or so videos, short videos, 3 to 5 minutes on select topics in college admissions. So you might want to check those out. We have made those videos in the summer, last couple summers. So you may want to review some of our YouTube videos. So that's our social media presence. And Ms. Hanson, you want to bump me one more slide? And we have I promise you, the shortest survey hopefully you'll ever fill out. It's like 3 or 4 questions. Just telling us what you thought of the program. If you have any outstanding questions, thoughts, things you learned. There's a QR code that will hopefully take you to the form. I think Miss Hilly's going to drop the link in the chat with anyone that's still with us on Zoom. We appreciate you guys coming out on a Wednesday night when you could be doing lots of fun things, but we appreciate you joining us. We hope this was an educational presentation for you all, and we wish you guys a great evening.
Yes, and I just want to add, I think speaking from all 3 of us, it really is an honor to help your students and your families through this process. We know everyone comes to Stevenson with all sorts of different backgrounds, but it's an honor that you trust us to help us through them navigating the next steps. And we look forward to working with you and your family over the next few years. Thank you guys for coming out.
Get home safely. Good night.